Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Google Fi. What is Google Fi? I'm going to talk about 3 select groups that definitely should look at Google Fi as an option. But what is Google Fi? I'm Ron Brown and this is Tech for Senior, where we help people understand technology and even save them some money purchasing cell phones or on their cell phone plans. If you haven't already, I'd sure appreciate that like and subscribe. And we are a nonprofit organization, and that donation to our coffee fund really helps us keep going. So let's see what I have to say about Google Fi. So what is Google Fi? Well, Google Fi is Google's phone service. You probably haven't heard of it, but it's a lot like Verizon, T-Mobile. They actually have cell phone plans, cell phones, and are Google's, I guess, cellular phone service. It started sort of secretly back in 2015 when you needed a Nexus phone to actually access this service. Yes, Google, that's the precursor to the Pixel phone. So way back in 2015, if you bought a Google phone, which was a Nexus phone at that time, you could subscribe to Google Fi. Although nobody really knew a lot about it, you pretty much had to be invited. Now in 2018, life had changed a bit. I bought my first Pixel 3 phone, and at that time I wanted to use Google Fi as a service, and I actually subscribed to it and used it for 10 years. I don't use it now, and I'll explain that in the video. So I started by purchasing my Pixel 3 phone from Google. I went to the Google store in 2018 and I bought a Pixel 3 phone. This was a big mistake because I didn't understand that Google Fi is actually a separate branch of Google and they don't actually talk to one another. So I got my Pixel 3 phone and was going to contact Google Fi, get a SIM card, organize it, and get things done. But what happened was when I went to Google Fi, I saw not only did they have my Pixel phone on sale, but as a promotion, they gave you about 6 months of free service. This was an unbelievable deal, but only available at Google Fi. So the first thing I wanted to let everyone know is if you are looking at purchasing a new phone, a Pixel phone, then please look at Google Fi first because you may get an added benefit by purchasing it directly from them. Yes, it is Google, but you know, that's the way it is. And buy it from Google Fi, and then you will get added benefit as to the plans that may be available for you. So let me try and deal with some of the confusion about who can use Google Fi. Google Fi is available to residents of the United States who have a U.S. billing address. So it's not limited to U.S. citizens, but you do have to live in the United States or have a U.S. billing address. Now it's also available to Guam, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So this is important to know for those three groups of people I'm going to talk about who definitely should consider this plan. So it'll become obvious in the video. Now, one of the hallmarks of Google Fi is their internationally roaming plan for data. And this will become apparent, and it is available now in about 200 countries around the world. This makes this plan exceptionally good for one class of people, and that is travelers. Yes, if you are a frequent traveler traveling outside the United States, this is the plan you want to definitely consider because of the international roaming feature. We'll talk about that in a minute, but our friends, of course, Chris and Jim Guld from Geeks on Tour, which I'll put a link down to their website, are always traveling, whether it's in the air, on cruise ships, or traveling in their motorhome. They are always on the road. They've made a number of videos, and I'll put some of the links in the description about using Google Fi and how happy they are with the service. So definitely, if you are a traveler and you travel outside the United States for periods of time, then it is definitely something you want to consider. Now, I will say that a lot has changed over the past few years. If you are mostly stay in the United States and maybe take one trip a year, maybe you go for 2 weeks over to Europe, most of the cell phone plans now have an international part of their plan that you can purchase that is really pretty cheap. And you can keep your same phone number, let's say with Verizon, and just purchase their 2-week pack to Europe. And you may want to consider that rather than switching to Google Fi. But if you are traveling frequently outside the United States, and that could also include cruises and ships. Did you know that 90% of the cruise ships never actually leave the coast? They're actually usually within a mile or two of coastal communication, which means your phones will be good for traveling around the Caribbean, Mediterranean, or Northern Europe most of the time. So it's not just foot travel, it could be air travel and also cruise travel. Google Fi has you covered for all those destinations. So if you are a frequent traveler, then you really want to look at Google Fi. So the first group of people that should use Google Fi, of course, now are international travelers. Before we get to the second and third group, I want to explain just what Google Fi is. Google Fi is actually an MVNO. Now, what does that stand for? That's a mobile virtual network operator. Now, you're going to say, that's weird. What is that? Well, it just means that they don't own the telephone lines. They rent them. Now, other examples of this would include Mint Mobile, would be Track Mobile, would be Boost Mobile, and of course, a popular one is Consumer Cellular. These are all examples of MVNOs, of which Google Fi is one of them. Now, what type of phones can you bring to Google Fi? Well, you can really bring any phones at all. Google Fi uses T-Mobile and US Cellular to carry their services. And any phones that are compatible with those companies would work with Google Fi. Now, that was not the case many years ago. Back with my Pixel 3, they'd just allow Apple to actually use Google Fi. But that's all changed now. They pretty much allow anybody. You can use them. They have SIM cards or eSIM cards, and anyone can really, with most phones, can sign up for Google Fi. You also don't have to purchase your phone. You can bring an existing phone if you've bought a Samsung phone or from another carrier, no problem at all. You can just bring your phone along, and they'll provide either an eSIM or a regular SIM card, and you'll be able to connect. So the second group of people that I think would be perfect for this service are snowbirds from the northern United States coming down to either Florida or Mesa. So this works great, and you can either bring your own phone number and port it over, or you can apply for a new phone number with Google Fi. And you could maybe have a dual SIM on your phone and have 2 different numbers. I'll leave that up to you. But what I wanted to tell you about, when you go to apply for Google Fi, you get to choose the city that you want to get a phone number for. They have phone numbers for all the cities. So you could choose, let's say, if you were going to live in Mesa, I would want a Mesa phone number. Now, from experience, I can tell you that each month, Google Fi takes a block of numbers and moves them in to their account for different cities. Mesa being very popular, the numbers frequently get used up. If you don't get a number that you want for your city, I would wait. Just go back in a week's time, reapply, and see if the numbers are there. Try it, because within a month, I'm sure you're going to find that they will have dumped a bunch of numbers in, and you'll be able to get the number you want. And that really makes a big difference, because I wanted a phone number that was in Mesa. That was really important to me, how I wanted to work my phone system. So do that. Now, the other thing you've got to remember, what we're going to talk about in a minute, is their data plan. Remember I talked to you about that international data plan? Well, that also works in the United States. So if you are coming from another location and you're paying T-Mobile for a data plan and a phone number, this will work great for you, and it's very portable. If you're it'll work in both residences for you. So think about that. This is where the beauty of this plan really works well. So think about that if you are a snowbird coming from the northern part of the United States to the south. I think that would work really well. Before I discuss the third group of people, it's important to talk about the plan. Now, long distance calling on Google Fi is included for long distance in Canada, United States, and Mexico. So it doesn't matter which country you're in, long distance calling is included in your plan. Think of those 3 countries as one great big group, and anytime you call, it's all included in your plan. So this brings me to the third group of people, and that, of course, are the Canadian snowbirds that are actually wintering in the United States. I did that, and for 10 years I wintered in Mesa, and this was an absolute great deal. Let me explain why. Because as a winter resident, you undoubtedly will have a U.S. address, a billing address, which allows you to qualify to get Google Fi. When you go and travel around the United States, that's fine. You'll have your phone covered and also your data plan covered. So when you go back to Canada, no charge for all your calls, and as well, you can use your data plan because now this is international roaming, so your data plan will work. It is a great deal. You can even hotspot the data plan on your phone so you can use it around your house for different devices that you want to connect. But as long as you continue to do winter residence in the United States, you'll be fine. If you spend more than 6 months outside the United States, Google Fi knows where you are because, of course, they have the SIM card in your phone. You'll start to get messages like, hey, you better get home because we're going to cut you off. And so they're a little bit concerned about that. So you can't just take a SIM card and live outside of the United States for a longer period of time. They do monitor it, and based on my experience, if you are a winter resident, usually you'll be down there for 4 or 5 months, you'll be fine. You might get 1 or 2 notifications, but by the time you go back, and as soon as it triggers when you go across the border, you'll be fine and you'll be back in. The system will reset. Now, in my situation, when we sold our home and moved back into Canada, we didn't need Google Fi anymore, and I found other alternatives that worked better for me. So I wondered what would happen if I just kept using it. And ultimately, of course, they did catch up to me. Now, interestingly enough, and here's what happened to me, they won't actually cancel your plan. All as they do is will turn off the international data roaming part, and then they'll charge you for the data. The phone system will still work. You can still be a member of their Google Fi plan. It's just the international data roaming which they will turn off. Now, but ultimately what happened is they have an option when you decide to wrap up your plan. You can take your Google Fi number and you can actually apply it to Google Voice. And you're going to say, well, what's Google Voice? Well, it's a virtual phone number, virtual telephone system in the sky that Google runs. I guess that's a topic of another video. But the point is, you can park that phone number in Google Voice, and you can actually send and receive texts in Google Voice. All right, before we get into the actual price, let's talk about the advantages of Google Fi. First is affordability. Google Fi's pricing structure is perfect for the users who want to avoid overpaying for unused data. With the flexible plan starting at $20 a month, the unlimited plan offers competitive rates. It's a cost-effective solution for many. Now, unlike traditional carriers, Google Fi doesn't lock you into any long-term contract. You can cancel or change your plan anytime without penalties. Even if you bought a phone through Google Fi, all you have to do is pay off the balance of the phone. It's traveler friendly. Wherever you go on a business trip or vacation, Google Fi ensures that you are connected seamlessly in over 220 countries around the world. When you go to those countries and you turn your phone on, you are instantly connected to Google Fi. Seamless connectivity. The ability to switch between multiple networks and Wi-Fi provides consistent, reliable service. So when you go to, again, different parts of the world, you're just automatically connected. Google Fi's management app allows you to easily and quickly change plans and see what your balance is. I used it for 10 years and it couldn't be simpler. But we're going to talk now about the greatest feature of this plan, and that's the flexibility. Let me show you the pricing structure and why this is so cool. All right, here is a summary of the 3 plans available for you. These are in US dollars and for one person. If you go to Google Fi's site, you can see and easily switch to 2 or 3 or 4 people you want to enroll in the plan. So this is in US pricing for one person. So the first plan you can see from this diagram is the flexible plan, and it starts at $20 a month and plus $10 a gigabit for data. And again, you only pay for what you use. And my memory is that it only charges you part of that $10. So again, you're only paying for the data as a pay-as-you-go. Now for hotspotting, it gives you full speed at $10 per gigabit. Again, you get free calls anywhere in Canada, United States, and Mexico. And the perks are the data's free after a monthly limit. So after you reach a certain monthly limit of 5 or 6 gigabits, then there is no added amount. You've reached your maximum that you have to pay, and that's detailed in the contract. That's detailed on the site. So then let's look at the Simply Unlimited plan. That starts at $50 a month. You get unlimited data up to 35 gigabits at high speed. Again, anywhere in the world. And if you want to hotspot it, it's 5 gigabits for high speed. And if you want to hotspot it, you get up to 5 gigabits at high speed. Again, unlimited calls for Canada, United States, and Mexico. And the Unlimited Plus starts at $65. You get unlimited data up to 50 gigabits of high speed. Hotspotting, unlimited high speed, and unlimited calls to 50 countries, which is outside Canada, United States, and Mexico, and unlimited data and text in 200 different destinations. And the perks are you get 100 gigabits of Google One storage and 1 year of YouTube Premium for free. Both those I have and pay a lot of money for. Particularly YouTube Premium, I think you're probably looking at around $120 a year just for YouTube Premium. So that Unlimited Plus is a great plan. So in summary, I wanted to explain what Google Fi was. Many people don't know that it is actually Google's phone service. So it has a lot of benefits for you depending on where you live and what type of service you want. Please consider this. I think it's a good option. Go to their website, have a look. It's a very flexible plan. I used it for 10 years, but remember, it is available only to residents who have a U.S. address. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Please click that like and subscribe. And being a nonprofit, we sure appreciate your donations through our coffee fund. You'll find that in the description. Until we see you again, have a great day.
Hi, I'm Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and this is Fun with Photos.
The quick tip today is about removing the background from photos. It seems it's a really hot topic these days, and there are so many different ways of doing it. And there's a lot of good ways, but did you know that you don't need anything besides the phone that took the picture in order to remove the background, as long as your phone is an iPhone or a Samsung. So let me show you what I mean. On the iPhone, now Google Photos can't do this. You know me, I like to promote all the stuff that Google Photos can do. This is something that Google Photos can't do. But if you have an iPhone, you also have the Apple Photos. So I'll open up Apple Photos and I'll find a picture that I want to grab the subject of it and remove the background. Watch this. All you do is lightly touch on the subject and notice how it's just Jim is now attached to my finger. Now people say, but I can't do that because when I touch and hold, it's a live photo and it plays. Well, this is a live photo, so it just takes a special touch in the right place. I mean, if I just touch and hold out in the background, then the motion, the live part plays. But if I touch and hold on him very lightly, and then keep holding, it will pick him up. All right, so now what do you do with him? You can you can copy him.
Now that you have him firmly in hand.
You can copy him. I don't know if I could deal with two of him. I don't know. So I can copy, and that will copy just the selection, which is the person, the foreground. And I could go to an email, for example, and compose a new email, and in the body, long press and paste. So there is the image of Jim without the background in whatever place I want, a email or a text message, something like that. And the other thing you can do is to save. So in addition to this original picture with the background, if I touch and hold and get him, I can tap share, and then if you scroll down, save image. So now that image of just Jim without the background is in the camera roll, and because I have Google Photos installed on this iPhone, it will pick up the whatever photos are in the camera roll. There he is from when I did it before. You do just save. Now, once again, I am not talking about Google Photos. Google Photos can't do this. I'm talking about Samsung Gallery. I open Gallery. It also doesn't have to be a person. And it doesn't have to be a person on the iPhone either. It can be a flower. So I touch and hold, and it's now just the flower is attached to my finger. I let go, and I get three choices: copy, share, or save as image. Once again, I can copy. Then I can go to email and compose a new email and long press and paste. Paste. There we go. So now there is that flower, just the flower, no background, pasted into my email. And let's see if I can get this to work on this one. Long press on the flower and save as image. Image saved. So now it is in my Samsung Gallery, but it should also be in my Google Photos. It just took a minute. Back to the iPhone. Yes, there is the photo in Google Photos that is just the flower. So that is remove background with no special software. Now I want to give you some ideas as to what you might be able to do with those images once you have the background removed. Fun photos like these, where we have Jim walking down a path and with a dragon. There be dragons. Or this one might show how we scuba dive off of a cruise ship. Now, there's all sorts of software that can do this. You may have tried this with Canva or with Google Slides, and that's great. But once again, I want to show you how you can do it with only your phone, as long as your phone is an iPhone or a Samsung. It may be able to be done with other phones. Those are the two that I know. I'm going to start with the iPhone, and we're going to do that scuba diving off the cruise ship example. Here is the picture of Jim scuba diving, and I'm in Apple Photos here.
This Google Photos cannot do this. I am in the Apple Photos, that flowery icon there. And remember, in order to get Jim removed from the background, or the background removed from Jim, whatever, all I have to do is touch, and something, I see a little flash, and he has been removed. Now, when I let go, I'll see the options. And I'm going to choose this one called Add Sticker. And that has added Jim Scuba Diver in this area called Stickers. Now I can open the photo of the cruise ship and add that sticker. So you have to get into Edit. That's this sliders icon down here. Edit. And then it's Markup. And the markup tool is this little pencil up at the top right. Now, once you're in markup, that's not all. Now you have to tap the plus to see things other than just drawing tools. And add sticker. Now, there's all kinds of stickers here. I mean, you might not see that scuba diver right away. It will be under the stickers that I've added. So there's Jim, and I just tap on him. And he has been added to that photo as a sticker. And now be careful as I change his size and move him around. I think that looks pretty good. Done. And done. And now we have Jim Scuba Diver jumping off the cruise ship. For the second example, the There Be Dragons, I'm going to use the Samsung. And the Samsung Gallery is the app that has this option. So Gallery, and first I want the photo of the dragon. I mean, this is just a little lizard that was in our backyard, and I want to separate him from the background. Just lightly touch, hold, he is now separated. When I let go, I can save as sticker. Sticker saved. Now I go to the picture of Jim in the woods and edit and markup. That's this little face with the pencil, and stickers. And you might not see the sticker right away. It should be under the gallery icon. And there it is. I have a couple, but the little dragon is right there. I just tap it. Now this one I want to make bigger. And move down here. And there we go. I save. You can get really creative with this. Now just one more thought is you might want to do something like this. Now, to add all that together, you might want to use something like Canva or Google Slides, but notice that Jim and I in the lower right-hand corner have the background removed. So another reason for removing background is to put your faces on some other background, like a Christmas card. Have fun.
Hello, I'm Hewie Poplock. Today I'm going to be talking about some Chrome browser keyboard shortcuts. The Chrome browser often requires multiple clicks or disruption to browsing to navigate pages and tabs or access key features. Whether it's quickly opening features such as incognito mode, clearing history and cache, opening new pages, or just navigating what's already open. There's a lot of movement required between the keyboard and the mouse or the trackpad. However, Chrome keyboard shortcuts can make life a lot easier for just about any user, particularly where productivity is concerned. Now, these shortcuts apply solely to the Chrome iterations. that utilize a keyboard. I will be talking about Windows keyboard shortcuts, but many are the same on similar devices that use either the Chrome OS or Linux. If you have a Mac, most of these shortcuts are the same by simply replacing the Control key with your Command key. Please check to make sure. If you use another browser, check to see what shortcuts it uses. So let's take a look at some of the most useful Chrome shortcuts. Quick Launch Incognito. Sometimes it's just a good idea to launch into incognito mode. It won't stop certain entities, like your service provider or the boss, from seeing activity, but it does prevent cookies from saving long-term and can be helpful when it comes to letting others access their own accounts. That's especially true for users who are already logged into Chrome. Going into incognito sets aside the troublesome steps required to sign out while simultaneously preventing history or accounts linking over to the signed-in account. To get into incognito mode in Chrome on the desktop, you press and hold the Control key and the Shift key before pressing the End key. Using that set of keys being pressed at once will immediately open up an incognito window, and let's take a look at that. So I'm going to hold the Control, Shift, and touch the End key, and it will open up the incognito mode. Search with a Chrome shortcut. It's easy enough to jump straight to the URL Omnibox from anywhere in Chrome with the keyboard. That's easier than using the mouse to click the bar, which can be a serious interruption to the workflow or just browsing in general. To move directly to the URL Omnibox to perform a search or navigate to a new page, you hold down the Control key and press L. That puts the focus on the Omnibox, allowing users to just type in the search or website URL without ever having to touch the mouse or the trackpad. Open up the most recently closed tab in Chrome. Now, it isn't at all uncommon that you'll close a tab by accident or discover shortly after closing it that it's still needed. If you know this shortcut for reopening recently closed tabs, it's still possible to get those back. This doesn't work for tabs that are closed out in previous sessions or in the incognito mode, but this should work just about everywhere else. It can even be used sometimes to reopen all of the tabs after Chrome crashes. The tabs reopen in the order that they were closed, so we're going to close 3 tabs to find out if this works, and we'll find out. So we just closed 3 tabs. Now, to do this, you'll hold down the Control key, the Shift key, and then tap T for each one you want to reopen. So we'll do 1, and there it is. I'll do it one more time. And we'll do one more. And that was the last article. So those are the 3 articles that we closed, and we were able to reopen them very easily by using Control, Shift, and T. Go to History. Sometimes a tab will be closed and then needed again later on. Depending upon when the tab was first opened, that might be easy enough to find using the History tool in the 3-dot menu. But for older tabs, a deeper look at the history of tabs is going to be needed. Now, that isn't necessarily going to be the best solution either. You have the option of using the keyboard shortcuts. If you hold down the Control key and then press the H key, Let's do that. Control and H. That'll open up a new tab with the history page already loaded. From there, you can use either the arrow keys or the mouse to navigate the history user interface. So you can go down and you can delete or see where you've been, and you can go down and up and find whatever you want in your history. Go to Downloads. Sometimes it's difficult to locate a previously downloaded file or image. In those cases, as long as the image hasn't been deleted entirely, there is an easy way to get back to the download. And this method also works just as a way to check or delete what's been downloaded, or at least in terms of its visibility as a download. Keyboard shortcuts can be used here. So first, press and hold down the Control key and then tap the J key. And this will load up the Downloads interface. And let's do that. Control and J. And you will see all of your downloads. If they were deleted or moved to another folder, it will say deleted. But some of them will still be there as well, and you can click on them and go to them or show them in the folder, whatever you want to do. But all of your downloads are listed, so you can find them this way, so you can see where they are just by showing in folder. Open a new tab or window. If you want to open a new tab or window, there's an easy way to accomplish that with keystrokes. That makes it easier to open new tabs without having to reach for the mouse or the trackpad and either open up a three-dot menu or click the plus icon. The same can be said for opening a new window, since sometimes it's a pain to keep too many tabs in one frame. So hold down the Control key and then tap the N on your keyboard. So let's do that. Control N opens a new window. And you can see that that's a different window. And then if we want to open a new tab, you hold the Control key down and open T, and you get a new tab. And you can open up another tab if you want. When Chrome stops responding properly or needs to be reset, there are shortcuts for that. This Chrome shortcut isn't like the other shortcuts so much as it is a way to relaunch Chrome without losing progress. It also serves along the same lines as a way to accomplish that without having to use the mouse. And that's going to be useful for those of you who build up a lot of browser data, similarly finding themselves needing to restart often. Using the shortcut to move the focus of the page to the search or URL Omni box, you have to press Control L. When you do, it puts the focus on your URL Omni box. Then, namely, you must then type in Chrome://restart and then hit Enter. So that's what you want to type in, and then you hit Enter. And then it restarts Chrome. So this time, however, the browser will restart itself, keeping the tabs intact so you can easily fix any errors or restart the Chrome browser instead of simply opening each page all over again. Jump from tab to tab, backward or forward. When you have a bunch of tabs open, it can be difficult to navigate between them. When there are so many tabs that new ones don't appear in the tab bar, instead they're tucked off to the side behind the plus-shaped icon. You could simply close tabs you don't need, but that's not always ideal. Chrome users can also use the keyboard to navigate to the next and previous tab instead. Windows users will need to start by pressing and holding the Control tab and then page down. Control tab and then page down, and you go to the beginning, or you go forward, and you can go through each of your tabs. If you do the control page up, it goes in the other direction. Now let's go to the end again. Now another trick that you can do is control plus a number 1 through 8. So if you do a control and the number 1, it will take you to the first tab. If you do control and the number 5, it'll take you to the 5th tab. But you can only do this for the first 8. So we'll go to number 8, and it's there. If you count the tabs, there's 8 of them. Now if I do a control and a 9, watch what it does. It goes all the way to the end. So anything between 8 and the end, you can't get to by doing that. But this works fine. Bookmark a page or get to the bookmark manager. I use the bookmark bar to get to most of my most used sites, but that can get in the way and it doesn't always show every bookmarked page. Also, it can be a pain to use the mouse to set a new bookmark. Chrome has keyboard shortcuts for all of that. How to hide or reveal the bookmark bar is set on a toggle. So the same command can be used to both show the UI when it's hidden and to hide it when it's getting in the way. And to do that, you press the Control, Shift, and B, and it goes away. Control, Shift, remember it's a toggle, so Control, Shift, and B again brings it back. Control, Shift, B removes it. Control, Shift, B then puts it back. Now, to add an open page or pages to the bookmarks is straightforward from the keyboard too. To do so, hold the Control key down and pressing D will bookmark the current page. Control D. And it's ready to put that tab as a bookmark. I am not going to do it. I'm going to close it. But now, if you want to, if you add the shift to the bookmarks, bookmarks all of the open tabs. In other words, if you hold down Control, Shift, and then press D, you'll bookmark all the tabs. And then finally, you can press the Control and Shift before pressing O to open up the Bookmarks Manager. If you do a Control, Shift, and O, it opens up the Bookmark Manager, and you can do any editing, changing, whatever you want to do to work within the Bookmark Manager. Clear your Chrome browsing data. There are times that, for whatever reason, items end up in the history that users would rather not appear there. Clearing browsing data is the proper solution, but that always isn't an easy page to find. It takes a significant number of clicks to get to it. Chrome makes getting there with a keyboard fairly simple. Holding Control and Shift before pressing Delete will launch that feature and its page. Control, Shift, and Delete. It then goes to your settings page, finds the page for clearing your browsing history. Now this right now is on advanced, and I can delete my cookies, my browsing history, my download history if I wanted to check those. There are some, and then under basic, I can delete the browsing history, the cookies and other data site, cached images. Just click the clear data and that all goes away. I'm not going to do that, but I just wanted to show you how you could. Now it does say, because I am syncing with another computer, to clear browsing data from this device only while keeping it in your Google account, you have to sign out of the Google account. Closing down the currently active tab. When you don't want to minimize the window, it's simple enough to shut down the currently active tab completely. That's especially useful when so many tabs are opened up that the X on the tab can't be pressed to close the page. But it works just as well when users would rather not use the mouse, saving some time for the sake of productivity. To close the tab that's currently active, you can simply press the Control key, and then while it's pressed, you tap the W key. Control and then W, and that window closes. If you want, or that tab closes. If you want to close the next one as well, you do it one more time. It's that simple.